Sander, wow, look at that. I mean, that was an emphatic win, isn't it? Man United won 3-0, very, very comfortable today. Great performances all over the pitch today. Where do you want to start? I mean, I know everyone wants to talk about Bruno straight away. Is that where you want to start? Do you want to start at the most obvious place to start, or are you going to mix it up?
Well, I was thinking, why am I even doing a FanCam? Just copy and paste my one from Sheffield, right? Like, because it was the same team, fantastic performance. Bruno played well. Pogba and Bruno is an exciting partnership. Martial and Rashford didn't look so good again today. It was basically a carbon copy of the last game. So yeah, listen, it was a fantastic win. As I said, after Sheffield United, there will be ups and downs, but it's fantastic to see those downs coming less regularly now. Obviously, we had them against Norwich, but we won and through to the FA Cup semi-final, and Europa League now, and chasing Chelsea and Leicester. It's fantastic to see. So yeah, I mean, on Bruno, fantastic performance. I mean, I know everyone's talking about how it's unbelievable how one player has come into a club and made such a difference, but he really has, hasn't he? And I think
I was going to say, is it just him? Is it down to him?
Well, okay, so it's down to him that we look better now than we did before. But what I was saying on Twitter and arguing with people quite regularly is people were saying, oh, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it's all down to Bruno. Hang on. All Bruno has done is allowed the system to be activated, right? So the system was there prior to Bruno's arrival. But when you've got Pereira or Jesse Lingard in that number 10 position and the ball gets to their feet before the chances are created, it breaks down, and therefore you don't see the chances created, which makes Manchester United look like a boring, ineffective team. But you bring someone in at that number 10 position who is able to create those chances and who is able to find a man. And that system all of a sudden looks very effective. So the idea that Solskjaer is suddenly a great manager when Bruno comes in and he's not when he's not there is ridiculous. You saw it today when Andreas Pereira came on instead of Bruno. Pogba got taken off. We all of a sudden don't look as good. Fancy that. You bring your two best creative players off and you don't look as good. I've always said it along that the premature, rash decision I felt it was to go Ole out so early on was, as I said, premature and rash. So I'm happy that I stuck with my guns. As I said, you will have ups and downs as time goes on, but it's looking good, doesn't it? It's looking good.
I agree. I agree with what you're saying there in terms of, look, we saw it against Norwich, and although we won the game, I think we were smart enough to scrutinise the game at the level it should have been. And that was basically saying, if you're Solskjaer after that game, you're going and knocking on the door of the board and saying, listen,
yep,
we've won and we're in the semi-finals, which is great. However, I need you to get me depth, strength in depth, because as soon as I make changes from that first 11, we're just not as good. I just don't have the quality. And you're right. We did see it again today. So what you're saying is it's more of a big up to Solskjaer for actually going out and getting the right player to make his system work.
Well, Gary Neville said it in commentary before it was Mercenary City, right? I said it's Mercenary United. We didn't play in blue, but it was Mercenary. It was Mercenary City, wasn't it? Because Ed Woodward, and whether it was the manager or the board at board level, you were going out trying to sign the biggest players for the biggest amount of money. Now that isn't effective. You can have the best players in the world, but if it doesn't fit into the system, right, then it doesn't work. Now, it happens to be that Bruno's a fantastic player, but it doesn't have to be a player who scores 25 goals a year. It can be a player, a James Milner for Liverpool, someone like that who fits into their system and works. So, listen, Solskjaer on his recruitment has been absolutely fantastic. I think, Daniel James has been the only one that maybe leaves slightly a bit to be desired. But, Harry Maguire, Odion Nagala has been a fantastic asset as well. And Bruno Fernandes, of course, has been great too. So, yeah, credit to Solskjaer for getting the right players in. Credit to the board. Again, when you criticise the board, you have to give them praise for backing him too. But credit to all the fans as well, I think, that weren't straight in there to rush and call for someone's head when it wasn't necessarily the right time to do so. Now, that's not me saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to win Manchester United the treble next year or ever, right? But what it is saying is that we're starting to see now that a year in football isn't a very long time, and it's still early on, right? 2 years' time in football, you have a couple of transfer windows and you start to see a few players gel and a few players develop. Then you start to see things coming to fruition. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going in the right step. We're going in the right direction. We're taking the right steps. And I just think anyone who can't see that we're even going in remotely the right direction, I don't know what they see, to be honest. And like you said, it's not saying we're going to win the league next year, but it's just celebrating the fact that we're in a good moment. But I get it. We do need something to show for it. It'd be horrible if we continue in this moment and don't get in the top 4 or don't get Champions League football through one way or the other. I feel like we haven't actually spoken about the game though, but I kind of like that. It's kind of quite refreshing. On the game, what most impressed you though? Was it just as simple as Bruno most impressed you, or was there other aspects?
I've said it before. I think it was after Sheffield, actually. The patterns of play and the system really impressed me, because you can have fantastic individual performances, and we've had that over the years with various big players for big money come in and do well individually. But the system, I think, and I don't want to bring it back to Solskjaer, but it is true. The system that Solskjaer's instilled and the patterns of play that you're starting to see implemented is absolutely fantastic. We're not Arsenal, but you're starting to play that old-fashioned, so quick, interchangeable.
Under. We're definitely not Arsenal.
I know. Thank God for that, right? Thank God for that. But you're starting to not only see that interchangeable play, those 1-2s, those triangles, but as we saw with Bruno Fernandes' second goal, you're starting to see that old school counter-attacking style Manchester United. I think it was 12 seconds from Harry Maguire's header to the goal. I mean, that is absolutely fantastic to see. And that was there to see from Solskjaer's early sort of times in his reign. But now, on top of that, you're starting to see the interchangeable play, and that for me was the best to see, and has been for the last since lockdown.
Yeah, and they seem to be going from strength to strength. You look at the amount of goals conceded in the last sort of 13, 14 games, minimal goals, scoring goals for fun, creating goals for fun. 6 goals in the last 2 Premier League games and none conceded. Like, you can't ask for better than that, really.
And on that, if we're looking to chase down Leicester and Chelsea, Leicester's goal difference is good, right? So scoring goals and not conceding any is a great sign of a great team and a manager and a system. But it's also good for the table. Now, if things do come to goal difference, which you hope it obviously doesn't, that could help us out as well. But as you say, it's a fantastic sign of things to come, I hope. And of course, there's areas that absolutely need to be strengthened. I think right wing, with Jadon Sancho, that needs to happen. So not only add quality, but really push players on and allow them to develop. Because at the moment, I don't think that Daniel James is a true competition for Mason Greenwood. On Mason Greenwood, actually, haven't talked about him so far. It's absolutely fantastic to see him getting his goal and his assist, because that goal was bloody brilliant. That is what Mason Greenwood. It's true, isn't it? That goal is what Mason Greenwood does fantastically well, and it's absolutely fantastic to see him really get that goal and sort of have something to show for his brilliance. And that assist as well was great. And me and my mates in the flat have criticised Mason Greenwood for not necessarily implementing his stamp on the game. He might get a goal here and there, but he sort of drifts in and out. And of course, he's so young, that's to be expected. But it was good to see him today switching sides as well, showing a bit of versatility and getting that assist as well. And so that was enjoyable to see.
Who was your man of the match, Sander, before you go?
It has to be Bruno Fernandes. I mean, it's difficult not to give him that for me. Again, he was everywhere for Manchester United. So tenacious, so creative, and loves a pint of milk, which is fantastic to see, isn't it? So yeah,
that's got to be some form of protein drink. It can't be the green top semi-skimmed or the blue full fat.
Mate, the funny thing was as well, if it was milk, we were saying it's milk. You don't have like a whole bottle of it. Mate, it was a whole bottle of milk.
Yeah, it's massive.
I've never seen anyone drink that amount of milk before. So, but maybe that's the secret. Maybe that's the secret.
Listen, bro, I'll see you on Saturday. Yeah.
Good to see you, man. Good speech. See you soon.
Nice one.